GDLS Canada, an industry leader dedicated to supporting our customers and the community.
My name is Stephen Brown, born on June 28, 1956, and I was born in Plymouth, England. Moved over here when I was 5 years old and been here ever since. I'm president of the Wolves Lacrosse Association, and I'm known as Coach Brown. That's my nickname, and it's stuck with me. Actually, my email is the same way. My father was in the Canadian Navy, so I grew up in Dartmouth, Shannon Park. That's where I started lacrosse playing in the Shannon Park years in 1970, I think it was. And we moved to Sackville, Nova Scotia, Lower Sackville in 1972, and I've been there ever since and there today. Believe it or not, I come from a non-sports family. My father used to play rugby in his Navy days and when he was a kid and that sort of thing. A little bit of soccer. I did play soccer too as I was growing up, but then I started playing lacrosse and took that as my. But my brother doesn't play any sports, and my children, yes, have both played high-level sports. My son played high-level hockey. He's played in Junior A in the East Coast Junior Lacrosse League as a player. Has done some coaching too. My daughter started in lacrosse, loved it, but she didn't like putting the gear on. So she probably, if women's lacrosse was going as good as it is now, she'd probably play that aspect of it. But she got involved in volleyball, and now she's the coach or assistant coach for the Mount St. Vincent Mystics at the university volleyball. So. Okay. I spent 34 years as a letter carrier with Canada Post. Just recently retired about a year ago, so I'm enjoying that part of my next stage in life, I guess. Wow, it's 50 years or plus. It's probably 51, 52 years since I started playing as a young child at age 13. So I've been involved in every aspect of the sport, from a local level, provincially, to national level. So it's a long list, but I'm more than willing to talk about it. Well, I started playing in 1970, right after I watched the Canada Games competition at the 1969 Canada Games in Halifax. That's where lacrosse was first introduced to our province, and I immediately jumped on it. I was always a hockey guy, but I wasn't a very good skater and a very good, I was very competitive, but I wasn't skill-wise. I didn't think hockey was my niche. So lacrosse seemed to be a little bit like hockey, so I said, that's the sport I'm going to try, right? And the sport has taken me places that I can't imagine that I would ever go in any other activity. So I started playing in 1970 with the Shannon Park Wallace Heights Huskies, I guess they were called. Played there about 4 or 5 years. We moved to Sackville, Nova Scotia in 1972. I still continued playing at Shannon Park and made the trip into Halifax, or into Dartmouth, I should say, and just kept playing. And then 1974, a mentor or administrator that used to be with the Shannon Park organization, who also moved to Sackville, decided he wanted to start an organization in Sackville, called me up to see if I could get any players. And I said, yeah, I can get some guys from the school, and we can get a team together. And so we started the Sackville junior team and played, it was junior because we played in the Maritime Junior League, which was established a couple of years later. But anyway, we started playing then. I helped organize the Sackville, back then it was called Sackville Lakers Lacrosse Association. And so played there for numerous years, started my coaching the little kids in the 80s there, and basically kept playing until I was 38. During my playing years, I continued to coach, help out with the administration part of the organization. It was 6 teams, believe it or not, and we had 2 teams out of New Brunswick. 4 teams locally, and we did a lot of traveling. There was one team in Fredericton and a team in St. John, which Dave Arsenault was part of, and he, it was very competitive. It was a good league, and much like we traveled like the junior A league of today, so it wasn't like the senior league that we have today, which is basically just house-based in one location. But it's awesome. It's very good. But anyway, yeah. So I continue helping out with coaching that and trying to get some little kids involved. Of course, I'm only in my 20s. Don't have a family yet, right? So it's hard to get young kids playing it, and we come up with some promotional ideas, and eventually we got a good minor association in the 80s. We got going pretty good. Sackville Arena was built in '74 also, which gave us a home base. And then in 1986, we hosted, Ray Nielsen and myself decided we'd host the Founders Cup, which was the first in Nova Scotia. And John Chaveris, Senior, played in that tournament in Sackville, Nova Scotia. I didn't bring that program, I should have. But anyway, yeah, and we all know who John Chaveris is in his accolades with the NLL. And anyway, so yeah, so that was my first major tournament that I helped organize, and so that just continued to grow. And then I was involved in, like I said, I'm one of these guys that wears multiple hats, right? So, I just wanted to stay busy, wanted to do good for the sport, wanted to promote it, wanted to keep it going, keep it alive. Where other places it started dropping off, I tried to keep it alive with the senior league and then with the kids that I had in my program. A lot of the volunteers come from people that have kids involved in sport. Well, we all grew up in the 70s and 80s, loved the game, but still young enough that we don't have families yet. So a lot of the volunteers started dropping out for other reasons. Some moved away, some health reasons, some whatever. There was no new volunteers going in. I was one of the very few that stayed on while we were playing, try to keep things going. So probably by 1990, lacrosse was down to very, very few kids. The senior league was still booming. We had lots of people that were really good lacrosse players and really loved the game. But as for developing a minor program, the kids just didn't seem to get involved, and I contributed that to a couple reasons. One was the lack of volunteers. 2 was the emergence of spring hockey just totally destroyed any, and because we were playing in the same time frame, it really hurt the recruitment of new players. But once, after we got through that low period there, then some of the players that I played with started having children. They were getting old enough to start playing some activity. So then we got together and started the Metro Minor Lacrosse League, and that just went from probably, say, 100 kids to over 2,000 kids. That's basically based in HRM, but back then we included Truro. But HRM, which was Halifax, had two associations, Southwest, Northwest, Dartmouth Bandits, Sackville Wolves, and Truro, and St. Margaret's. And that's what you need in any sport. You need that resurgence of volunteers to come in and keep the momentum going. And not so much the hard work. It's time consuming, but it's not hard work. But it's it's a commitment that you want to build a program and detail it and get it going the way it's kids will want to come back and keep playing, right? So, and I think with everybody getting young children, I had 2 young children, a girl and a boy, both involved in the sport right away. As soon as I could get them with a stick in their hands, they took to the game, and same as Wayne Fink with Julie and Danny and Bruce Hamilton with his young girls. I think they were involved heavily, and so it was a mixture of boys and girls. But it was a great opportunity to help grow the sport to today where we got a girls program and a boys program. Like I coached Danny, right, in Lacrosse, which is a very low-level introductory program with no gear, just a plastic stick. That's where Danny started, and Danny made the National Lacrosse League, and you know, he had a great father that knew the game and helped him develop his skills, and I hope that I was a contributor to providing an opportunity for him to play. And he you know, he was one of our bright spots that came out of this province. So yeah, I've been fortunate for the caliber of players that have been involved in this province that I've either been a part of in either playing against or playing with or even coaching. So over the years we've had numerous players that have gone to that next level. Wayne Fink played National Lacrosse League when it first was formed. I played with him and I played against him. An awesome mentor to me, good friend of friendship also developed over the time. Of course, we had our little digs in the game now and then, but you know what I mean? It was, you know, at the end of the game, we both went out for a beer and that was it. But I've been to nationals with him, taught me a lot of passion for the game. Which was to me very important, and also I've been lucky enough to have some non-playing mentors that really showed a lot of commitment to the sport, a lot of passion for the sport, and really gave me some insight of what I wanted to do in my life. And they, like I said, once it gets into your blood, it stays with you. Well, I think that can be said for most sport, but I really, when I went to a national championship one year, I was fortunate to sit down with one of the coaches for the Iroquois national team, and they have a lot of philosophy about the game, a lot of historic cultural aspects to it. So, I mean, I was amazed by the stories he used to tell me and really had me entrenched in his conversation, and basically, and I'm bad for names and I wish I could remember his name, but anyway, this was a long time ago. But anyway, he always said to me that, you know, this is a sport for life. This is a sport, when it gets in your blood, it'll never leave you. And I've had umpteen opportunities to walk away from the sport. Once my kids got out, it would have gave me a good out. And other things, other opportunities that I wanted to explore that. But, you know, I tried to do both. But I mean, you know, I've had a lot of opportunities to move on. And, but it just seems to draw me back. And it's like that saying just sticks to me, saying, you're right, it's in my blood. And, you know, and hopefully when I go to the Creator in the sky that, you know, I bring my stick with me. So that sort of thing. So I just wanted to mention, you know, non-playing and non-coaching, or I'm so sorry, non-playing mentors. Bill McBain was an awesome person. You know, sort of got me a little bit interested in the coaching aspect of it when I was really young. When the Canada Games was finished, you know, there was 3 or 4 associations developed right from that Canada Games. And we had Beth Downs out in Spryfield, we had Bill McBain and Garnet Knight, and like I said, it's a long time ago. But I know that they were heavily involved in the game, in developing the game here and getting it started. And then they went to the national level. They pursued national opportunities, and Bill McBain became the national certification coach. And so, I mean, he wrote playbooks and manuals and stuff like that. So, you know, it's even today we're still using those same manuals. So it's he's been very influential in the game. He knew Jim Bishop from Ontario there, who's also a big lacrosse person. But anyway, so yeah, Bill McBain was I wouldn't say we were close friends, but I was very young. He was in his 30s and 40s, right? I was in my 20s, so sort of got to know him a bit better and got into the coaching aspect. Like I said, I got to know Ray Nielsen, who was a very hard-head person, right? But very, very respectful and very would do anything for you type of person. And he had a great love, and he took over positions in the sport that when everybody started dropping out, he kept it going. He kept our association alive. He kept Lacrosse Nova Scotia alive by taking the presidency, and then got me involved and that sort of thing. And I mean, one time I was president of the Wolves Lacrosse Association. I was coaching 3 teams. I was VP of operations for Lacrosse Nova Scotia. I was chairman, chairperson or some part of the organizing committee for whatever tournaments were being put on. So like I said, I was juggling various hats. A lot of conflicts in my family for family time and that sort of thing. And as my kids grew older, I got them more involved in the game, so that gave me some little bit of space to continue. Yeah, and so that was good. But others, Brian Thompson, person never played the game in his life, but had a passion for it. He was at the rink for every game and every, him and Jan Thompson were phenomenal people that really saw value in the sport. Wayne Fink, of course, Mr. Lacrosse, did numerous things for the game, helped in building the programs, and took on provincial teams to nationals, and helped out where kept the Northwest Lacrosse Association afloat, that sort of thing. So Wayne was a phenomenal friend, mentor, and inspiration, because I think I had the same love of the game that he has, right? And even though he went to that top level, I wish I could have got to that top level. And so it was good, and like I said, I coached Danny and I coached Julie, and so it was good, so that way. But there's various, as for players, wow, like there's numerous players that I've coached. Yeah. I played with Scott Broderick, who I thought was a phenomenal player. I played with Norman Hum and Gary Bodley. That was junior and senior, yeah, that would be both, yeah. I played against Norman Hum and Gary Bodley against when they made the Canada Games team in '72, and they also made it in '76. I was put on as an alternate in the '76 Canada Games. Bill Manley was coaching the team. So basically, I was put on as an alternate, and Donnie Koharski approached me and said, "Steve, would you be willing to play for an all-star team?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'll play lacrosse anytime." And he said, "Well, we're going to take on the Canada Games team." And basically, there was a lot of people who thought they should have been picked and they weren't picked, right? So that sort of thing. And I said, "Yeah, I'll play." So we played at Centennial Arena back, I'm going to say it was '76, '75. And it was, Centennial Arena was a hotbed for lacrosse. And it's a shame today it's just used for ice, but it was a nice old barn. And we played best of 5 series against the Canada Games team, and we lost in the last 5th game. And every game was standing room only in the arena. Wow. And it was just a phenomenal experience.
So that was a lead up to the Canada Games.
Yeah, I gave the Canada Games team a little bit of competition before they went. And I think they won a silver in '76, if I'm not mistaken. Well, like I said, I went to a couple of national tournaments with those guys. We went to Valleyfield. We went to Guelph, or not Guelph, Fergus, Ontario, and well, one of my biggest embarrassments was when we played in Fergus. We know we had the Wayne Fink and the Gary Bodleys and a few of the best players that this province had. One of my few embarrassments was we played Fergus, who was the host team of the tournament, and of course they were made up of a lot of senior A players, and we lost 30-0.
Oh, wow.
And it was embarrassing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I felt bad for Ricky Peters, who was a phenomenal goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably my most embarrassing moments in the game. But there was stages in that game that we never even touched the ball because they controlled the ball so well. But it was a learning experience. It was you got your ups and downs, and if I look at our program today, we're so our skill level is coming up, and maybe it's because of the guys that went through it when they were younger and learned a lot about the game, right? Yeah, well, we played President's Cup in Halifax in 1988, and we upset, I forgot the name of the Ontario team. Ontario team that was that came to play that was expected to win. We upset them in that tournament, and their game that was played at the old Halifax Forum, and good crowds, awesome crowds, which cheered us along. That was probably a highlight. Another highlight was Valleyfield, Quebec. I played with Gary and Norman and Wayne and Scott Broderick and all them, and Sean O'Brien and a whole bunch of other guys like that. But anyway, that was our opening game against Valleyfield, which was the host team there, stacked to win the tournament, and we beat them. Like, we beat them in the first game of the tournament, which surprised everybody. And Fergus, I said, was a good tournament for us, even though we lost that game, but it was a good tournament, and we've been to a few nationals, and like I said, probably my best moment with playing was probably against those guys in our own senior league, where, of course, the Halifax Rowdies were the dominant force for so many years in our senior league that we ended up upsetting them in the finals, which was a lot of fun. We had a lot of jokes and beers over that one after that game. So probably one of the most proudest moments is my involvement in the indigenous community.
Okay, good.
I started out with I forgot the year I started that actually, but anyway, it was when I was with Lacrosse, Nova Scotia, as a VP of operations. I just felt that Brian Knockwood from Indian Brook approached me about doing a clinic out there, so I went and did a clinic out there, and basically, so they sort of took a little bit of an interest in it. So we, with Tony Robinson and myself and a couple other people, so a couple of junior kids I got to come with me, we started a little program out in Indian Brook, and we got Millbrook involved, and then eventually we got Pictou Landing involved. So basically we had 3 indigenous communities that were loving the game, didn't know a whole lot about it, right? Even though it is their culture, right? They weren't really involved in it as much as in Upper Canada, the Six Nations, where they started as a little baby, right? But now today it's going really well. I mean, Billy Julian from the Iroquois Players Association has started, and so they're really pushing the game from the indigenous side, from the little thing that I started way back when, right? So, and I started a little friendship tournament, which I got some national backing from, and that just kicked that off really well. And like I said, I'm proud of that. That's really developing really good.
Growth opportunities.
Yeah. So that's something I want to touch base with, and keep informed with. Yeah. And I'm hoping to do something for the Mi'kmaq Friendship Center in the near future. So I'm looking forward to that, and we'll see wherever else I can get this game developed, right?
Yeah.
Or help, right? Oh yeah, I mean the resurgence of box lacrosse being put in the Canada Games structure again after many years of being absent is definitely another high performance program that will generate interest to get kids playing the game, and also awareness of what we're doing here in Nova Scotia for a minor program. I was fortunate, even though I was the alternate in the 76 Canada Games as a player, I was chosen to be head coach for the 85 Canada Games. And the 85 Canada Games was the last time box lacrosse was in the Canada Games. They said at the time that because box lacrosse wasn't represented by every province, it was hard to have it as a sport in the game. And also attendance. They weren't sure about attendance at a box lacrosse game. Well, I spent 4 years with the kids that I chose to be the Canada Games team, and made a couple adjustments throughout those years for attitude or whatever, lack of commitment to the program, that sort of thing. But all in all, for 90% of the players that I had for a full 4 years. So my only regret for the Canada Games was in, and nothing against Dave Arsenal, but it was in St. John, New Brunswick. I'm going like it couldn't be in BC or Alberta, you know, somewhere nice, far away, right? And so I said, no, that's good. So yeah, so we had a bus trip to St. John. But anyway, the Canada Games was a phenomenal experience for the players, from the opening ceremonies to closing ceremonies, whatever. It was just a phenomenal experience, a week-long event. We played at the Lord Beaverbrook Arena, played to packed houses. And during my time with the Canada Games program, Dave Arsenal was also the New Brunswick Canada Games team. So Dave and I were good friends, but we're very competitive with each other. So he hated to lose to me, and I hated to lose to him. So it was a good structure for us to develop our kids for the program. So anyway, so we played at the Lord Beaverbrook Arena. We finished first place in our division. We were like something like 8-0 or something like that. We did the crossovers. We lost the semifinals to BC by about 5 or 6 goals, and then we had to play for a bronze medal in the next round for the bronze, and we played Quebec, and we lost to Quebec in overtime. So we finished 4th, but we could have had a bronze in the Canada Games. We played some high performance teams in the crossovers, which was, really, really good. We didn't lose bad to any of them, right? But the kids were really well prepared and ready for that opportunity. The attendance was unbelievable for all our games and the New Brunswick games too. It was sold out crowd at the venue, and I'm going like, and they say that people don't want to watch this, right? So it was the last year of the Canada Games that lacrosse was put in, so it was a real downer that we lost that opportunity, even though we were starting to build our program up again. And I think that contributed to our downcline right after that. And so anyway, now it's back this year, or next year, whatever it is, and I think it's just going to help increase participation for sure, because we have a national program that's going to be recognized, right, by every province, right? Well, coaches change as each generation comes by. Like to coach the team when I was first started playing, the way they coached me back then would not work today, right? So your coaching styles change, and I'm a big believer in learning each year from coaching. And I changed my style almost on a dime, right? I've always had a couple of basic principles. Players need to have fun, right? They got to enjoy the sport, right? If you make it that it's a very negative environment for them, they're not going to either come back or they're going to quit on you. I'm still a little bit of old school in that I require good hard work, right? I don't care how many mistakes you make. You're going to learn from your mistakes, but I can't teach hard work, and you've got to show me that you want to be here and want to play, right? So I really stress that part of the game, but at the same time, I'm always communicating with the players and making sure that they're enjoying themselves and really learning learning the skills. Really emphasize doing a lot of stuff on your own. You can't catch and throw very well if you don't practice. And I use a lot of other sports as comparison. You know, hockey players, when they're not at hockey practice, what are they doing? They're out doing public skate or on the pond, skating, shooting. So they're doing a lot of activities, but still doing the skills, right? Basketball, what are they doing? They're not in the gym. They're out in the basketball courts in their neighborhood and shooting baskets and dribbling and doing the other activities, okay? So I really emphasize that, you know, to be good at any sport that you're playing, you have to practice. And we don't have enough time to practice, you know, every day at a rink or whatever. So really do a lot of things on your own. When I grew up, and you can't do this today, but when I grew up, I took my stick to school, right? I slept with my stick, right? And the stick became a part of me. And today people are amazed at 65 how I can throw and catch and still do the fundamentals, you know, very well. And I said, well, it's because it's part of me, right? It's got to be. So I really emphasize that, you know, keep the stick in your hands, you know, and really practice catching, throwing, and the other aspects of the game I can teach you. And basically, if you're willing to do hard work, willing to practice like we play, and have some fun, you know, and I always make some fun activities for them to do at the end. And you know, when I first started playing lacrosse, and probably many people in hockey, and you know, coaches were slamming sticks and hitting you in the back of the helmet or what. Yeah, well, you can't do that today, but you always got to be positive. And it's, so even though sometimes it's hard to be positive, there's always a positive thing that you can bring up, right? And you know, and use negativity as an adjustment to your game, right? Like, don't take it personal, but use the negative part that I'm going to tell you to help you get to the next level, right? And one of the jokes I used to say to parents is, don't coach your kid in the car, right? Well, I'm a bad one for that, because I have done that too, right? And my wife used to get mad at me, and I'm going like, you're right. I mean, I don't want to coach him, but I want to tell him that, you know, I played this game. This is what I would have done, and hopefully he'll listen to me and adjust his game, right? And for most part he did, so that was good. But and he wanted me to tell him, so that was good. So, but yeah, that's my. Well, after his junior, Mitchell is my son. Mitchell, he's refereed, and he's coached a couple of my minor program teams. His job right now is he's a mechanic with Jazz Air, so he's on 12-hour shifts. So he hasn't a lot of flexibility. He continues this day to come out and help me with my clinics and that sort of thing. But to commit to a team, and now we have his granddaughter, maybe as she gets older, that he'll want to be involved in some kind of sporting activity that she may like. And with their girls program going the way it is, I hope she takes the lacrosse program. I think the girls program is phenomenal. I think girls should have equal opportunity to just as much as the boys program. They should have the same benefits, the same structure that the boys have experienced. Right now, the girls it's a great group to coach, because all I see is smiles. You know, boys are a little more serious and a little more saucy at times with the attitudes, but girls don't seem to have that much of. They're there for the social part of the game, which to me is awesome, right? And at the same time, there's the skill level is just getting better and better and better. And I see big things for the girls program. You know, I can see them right now. I think most of the girls drop off in midget, got nowhere to go. But I'm hearing rumors, and I'm I think there's going to be another level for them to go to in the box program. The girls program in the field aspect of it, I'm not totally on board on, like, knowledge, and I haven't been involved in it as much. I used to be involved in the girls program back in the early 90s, or not 90s, but late 90s and 2000s, when we tried with Carol Patterson and Wes Patterson from Can-Am Lacrosse. They were big girls lacrosse field people. So they got me involved in trying to get girls started down here, which I did, and we took them to nationals and stuff like that. But the girls field program is different than the boys field program, the men's field program. Whereas the girls box program is not different than the boys. So, I like the box aspect of it for both genders, because they're the same game, right? Where in the girls program, in the field game, they're two different games, and it's hard for me where I'm competitive and want contact, and you know what I mean. It's the girls field program is not a contact, not the same. Well, like I said, I've got three things that I'm very proud of that I've done for lacrosse in this province. One is, I've established the #1 lacrosse program in Atlantic Canada with the Wolves Lacrosse Association. We just surpassed 300 kids. So, and we're going to continue to grow. I've got a good bunch of executive. So that, to me, I've been there since day one. I'm going to continue there until they boot me out, but doesn't seem to be anytime soon. But anyway, so that's one of my proudest moments. But my most excited moment is the 2007 World Championships. That was an idea that I had in 2004, that somebody had just thrown an idea by me, and I went, that could work. And it was a World Championship coming to Halifax. But that time you got to realize that lacrosse is not huge, right? So, where can we play a World Championship at the caliber and credentials and the atmosphere that the World Championships requires, right? So I said, you know what, that's a good idea. I have a couple of connections, and maybe I can swing this. And so anyway, I approached World Trade Center, and with anything with World attached to it at that time was gold to them. They just finished the World Hockey Championships, which was a huge success. So anything with World on it, they were excited to explore. So that started it. That started the conversation. I had numerous meetings with Scott Ferguson and McGilvery at that time, and they were excited about it and willing to help us put this on. And so the only thing I had to do is form a committee. So I got to work, and I got Bill Bryden and Michael Loon and Brian Thompson and a few others, Bruce Hamilton. We're all, got on board, Kevin Mills. I got them involved in the organization, but that started the conversation, and then we started making a bid to the Canadian National Board. Blew us away, but we got accepted. So then we had to go to Tardif, Wales, to get the international bid, and we got that. So now it just, we had to hire somebody full-time to monitor the thing, and we hired Michael Loon, and he did a phenomenal job. And that started the World Championships coming to Halifax. We had 8 countries here. We had good crowds. The championship game was between Iroquois and Canada. Went into overtime. There was probably 8,000 people at the arena, right? And that opened up a conversation about a National Lacrosse League, right? Franchise coming to Halifax right after that championship. And it was Wayne Gretzky's team out of Arizona that could possibly move their franchise to Halifax. Everything was in place except for the sponsorship. And it was the 11th hour that we finally had to close the door on that. And it didn't materialize. And Wayne sold the team to another location. But anyway, that was the first conversation. And I still contribute that event
Yeah.
and that opportunity at the Metro Center, at the time, Scotia Bank Center now, but that opened the door for the Thunderbirds to come to Halifax, right? And because that conversation just didn't stop, right? So today we're experiencing a National Lacrosse League franchise in our city. It's taken the city by storm. Kids are getting excited about our sport. So that's probably one of my biggest events that I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud that it was an idea that I had, that I could come about it. And of course, the other idea was to get a National Lacrosse League franchise here, and we did. So you know, I've been involved in most of all that, or it's been a part of what I've suggested or my idea, sort of thing. So I'm proud of that. And there's numerous other ones. I mean, we've helped host the Victory Cup here on the Halifax Commons that nobody ever said that would, you know, you'll never get an event on the Halifax Commons. That's never going to happen. You know, right? Like that's Shrine. That's, you know, it's the middle of the city, and it's just used for people to walk and park and play a little bit of ball and all that. And sure enough, I got the city to agree to host a tournament on the Halifax Commons. And, you know, Moosehead Breweries at the time sponsored it. It was a great event. We've hosted Founders Cups numerous times. Like I said, '86 was our first one. We hosted another one in 2014 at the Halifax Forum. I was part of that, organizing that, getting that involved, and talking to key people to get the venues that we needed. So, you know, I've been proud of those moments where I've been able to contribute heavily to getting that event here. And so I've been proud of that. So yeah, outside it's just taken a tremendous interest in the game. I mean, I've gone to every Thunderbirds game, and I'm never going to miss one as long as I'm, you know, around. But every time I go to the rink, I talk to people that have never ever knew the game of lacrosse ever existed, don't even know what it is, right? And have gone to these games and going like, this is exciting, this is good. And every time, you know, Thunderbirds now have been here 2 years now, which one was a short, well, their inaugural season was a shortened season because of COVID. But registration just keeps going up because they've seen the Thunderbirds game and they want to try it. So, and I've always said, once you get a stick in their hands, and once they get to throw a ball around and run around, you've got them, right? You've got them. And if we keep the game at a reasonable price and stuff like that, and give them, you know, don't conflict with other activities as much as possible, then these kids are going to try the game, and they're going to, you know, some are going to excel in it. And opportunities now, as you are well aware of, opportunities in university now is just crazy. We're being approached yearly from scouts from universities, just want to know if we can find a diamond in the rough, they call it, right? And, you know, Zach Kerrigan from my junior A team, he's holds all records for our junior A league, and he's with Mars Hill, and he's doing like he's their top player, and he will be looked at the NLL draft this year coming. Brett Draper from Dartmouth, another phenomenal player, just got drafted by the Thunderbirds. You know, opportunity there for him to, you know, to go to that next level. Brenton Penny, and, you know, playing down the States, full scholarships. Like, you couldn't, like, yeah, I mean, it's good to be a hockey player and make it to the National Hockey League, but what realistically is your chances, right? And lacrosse, because of our, well, you know, because of the opportunities in the States and in Canada, university levels are, you know, your opportunity to have your education paid for is great. Yeah, our numbers are not as high as hockey, but it's getting there. But more and more universities are picking up the lacrosse program, right? And they're looking for box players. They're not looking for field players. They're looking for box players. And if we can provide a good product here, we're going to see more and more of these kids go to the next level. Ian McShane and you know, a few others that skip my mind right now, but
They've gone there,
yeah, they're there, right? And, you know, we've had various sports in Halifax. We've had basketball teams, and they're phenomenal athletes, they're phenomenal players, but it's not the top league. It's not the top league in basketball program or whatever. Even in hockey, we've had American Hockey League teams here. It's not the National Hockey League. So people look at that going, yeah, we'll support, but we're not, you know, it's hard to visualize my son going, or my daughter going there, but when you've got a top level team, a top level sporting event here like the Thunderbirds, that is the highest a lacrosse player is ever going to go, right? That's the National Hockey League for a lacrosse player.
Yeah.
So now you've got people in Halifax saying, well, now we've got a pro team, right? So, you know, and they're watching these phenomenal athletes, right, throw that ball around, take these hits, constantly running, the shape they're in, the strength they are, and the abilities that they have. Like, they're saying, like, my son's getting excited to watch this, right? Like, they want to play, right? So that's you know, the basketball is awesome, right? Some of these players are really good, but they're not at the top level, right? And I think the fan support supports that, right?
Yeah.
Where you're seeing 8,000, 9,000 people at the Thunderbirds game, you may only see 2,000 or 3,000 at the basketball, the ABA or whatever, NBL game, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, and not to compare and not to downgrade any of the sports. They're top athletes,
Yeah.
right? But just the stigma of the name of the league,
Yeah.
right, is the next level. And like I said, my tag program, I had 7 kids, 2017 or so, whatever it was. I had 7 kids playing tykes, and that's 8 and under, right? And I've always said you got to have a foundation in your association to build, right? You can't have elite programs if you don't have grassroots, right? We can have all the elite programs going to nationals, teams going to nationals, and that was the problem in the 90s. We had teams going to President's Cup and the Senior League because the Senior League was the only thing happening. But once we got older, we stopped going, right? Like, because we had nobody coming in to fill our spots. Well, I've been devoting my life to grassroots and trying to get more and more kids involved so that, you know, opportunities for kids at elite level will be there for them, right? So, like I said, my type program went from 7 kids to over 50 in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So, and even though COVID hit us last year, we had well over 300 kids playing the game, you know, girls and boys, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it didn't slow. You know, parents were yes, willing, trying to get their kids to do something after a year of doing nothing, but you know, to try a new sport and liking it. Now, you know, as far, you know, all indications are we're going to not double, but we're going to have a good increase next year,
Yeah.
right? Trying to get as much as like I said, I'll take the stick to the creator any day, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love this game, and it's you know, I've met a lot of good people, right? And you know, they've really helped me develop the person I am today, and my love for the sport. And you know, yeah, like any sport, you get the 1 or 2 that, you know, you like to just forget about. But you know, from national level to local level, it's been all positive for me. And you know, it's good to have more and more people stepping up to the plate now, which is, you know, taking a lot of stress from me, right, and from others that are trying to keep the game going. And so it's been good that, and from that point of view, right? So yeah, I got 10 years left in me.
And you're retired now.
And I'm retired, and yeah, I got more time to do it, and I've got a couple other projects that I want to focus on and for the game.
Yeah.
And you know, we'll see how we'll see where it's another idea I have, and
See where it goes.
we'll see where that goes. And
Yeah.
that's what drives me, is I got to come up with something different, something new,
Yeah.
right? And help grow the game and push it to the next level. So that's across my life.
There you go.